Now from your weather authority, here is your weekend weather, sponsored by Pack Saddle Barbecue.
We saw some fairly cool temperatures last night, and this morning we barely reached back into those 80s for those afternoon highs, stayed in those mid-80s for the majority of that afternoon, and just within these past couple of hours we've gotten back down to those 70s, and we'll be in those 70s for a couple more hours, then back to those 60s overnight. Look at kind of what we saw throughout our Sunday afternoon. We started the morning with perfectly average temperatures, 64 for those overnight lows last night as compared to that average of 64, and then going into that afternoon we warmed right back into those 80s, slightly below average again for this afternoon, 87 as compared to that average of 89. But looking ahead to tomorrow, could be closer to average, if not a little bit above average through tomorrow's afternoon. Current temperatures in downtown San Angelo, looking off towards the north, seeing those mostly clear skies, 71 as of right now. Dew point is at 66, so actually fairly humid out there. Humidity sitting at 84%, and those winds fairly calm and out of the south right now at 5 miles per hour. Looking at those current temperatures across the entire Concho Valley, all of us sitting in those 70s, and again we'll be in those 70s for a couple more hours, but then back down to those 60s as we get closer to those overnight hours, and for those overnight lows back into those 60s across the Concho Valley. But even zooming out across the entire state, some of us across the state, especially northern parts of the state, already in those 60s. 65 in Amarillo, 72 in Wichita Falls, 68 in Waco. Looking off towards the south, seeing those continued warm temperatures, 81 in Houston, 83 in San Antonio, and 81 in Laredo. But again, going to continue to cool down rather over these next 12 hours in those 70s for an hour or two, but for the most part we'll actually be seeing those 60s throughout our night, so back down to those 60s and staying close to those mid-60s for the majority of our night. But some of us could dip down just a little bit cooler and get down to some lower 60s as we get really close to those early morning hours. And as that sun starts to rise, looking ahead to tomorrow morning, actually quickly raising back to those 70s, very quickly back to 76 at 10 a.m. and to those 80s reaching towards 11. So a much warmer afternoon expected looking ahead to tomorrow, especially as compared to these below average temperatures we have been seeing for these past couple of afternoons. And that forecast for tonight, 61. So it could be actually fairly cooler than even what we saw last night, with those mostly clear skies expected across the entire area, cool and calm. Those winds out of the east and northeast, and those will be at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Looking ahead to tomorrow, again, a little bit of an increase in those temperatures, back closer to average. Some of us getting to those 90s for those afternoon highs, but some of us just reaching into those upper 80s as we get close to that peak heating hour. A little bit hotter out there as compared to what we did see, again, close to those above average temperatures with those winds out of the south at 5 miles per hour. So that daily planner as we start that work week, looking for our Monday, a little bit of clouds actually be seen through those morning hours. Southwesterly winds at 5 miles per hour, starting the morning with some slightly cooler temperatures, but as we reach close to noon, already into those 80s, then already back to those 90s as we get close to that peak heating. A lot of us will max out into those 90s and we'll actually continue to see those above average temperatures over these next several afternoons. And again, looking ahead to what we're going to be seeing next Saturday, September the 23rd, we have our Walk to End Alzheimer's at Braden, sponsored by Braden Park at Kirby Park at 8:30 in the morning. So still looking ahead to that Saturday, should still be seeing some of those cooler conditions throughout the morning hours, partly cloudy skies, and could be seeing some slight winds. Even looking at that 7-day forecast, again, back to those 90s over these next several afternoons, a little bit of an increase through the end of the week and staying in the 90s even for our weekend.